Hello guys and welcome to Motoroids. This is Anand Pandey and today we are going to list down the pros and cons of the recently launched TVS Jupiter 125. Now we have already done a comprehensive review of the Jupiter 125 and if you wish to see that, the link should be popping up above, so you should click on that to watch a detailed test ride review of the TVS Jupiter 125. Now starting with the pros first, the Jupiter 125 has one of the longest wheelbase in its class and that makes it more stable as compared to its rivals. Now we have ridden this scooter in different conditions, so we can affirm the same. The second advantage is its unisex design. Now gone are the days when gearless scooters used to appeal to just the feminine part of our society. The Jupiter 125 has been designed in such a way that it will appeal to almost everyone. Now if you take a good look at it, it looks very mature and stylish at the same time. And if we had to list down one of the most striking visual elements of the Jupiter 125, it has to be these diamond cut alloys which look spectacular in person. Now up front we also get to see a new LED headlamp cluster which is surrounded by these chrome bezels up front. The front apron too has been redesigned as compared to the Jupiter 110 that has been around for quite some time. The front end of the Jupiter 125 you also get to see these chrome garnishes splattered all across the front apron. So these chrome elements that you see up front, they lend it a very premium appeal and a very mature look as compared to its rivals like the XS 125 and the Activa 125 for that matter. The third and one of the biggest advantages that the Jupiter 125 has over its rivals has to be its longest seat. So the seat that you see here is the longest in its segment. Now if you compare it with the TVS Jupiter 110 that we still get, it is around 65 mm longer, and if you compare it with the Suzuki XS 125, it is around 30 mm longer. Not only is this seat the longest in its class, the seat height is pretty accessible as well. Now the seat height stands at around 765 mm and that makes it all the more approachable to the shorter riders out there. So mounting on the Jupiter 125 is not going to be a hard task if you are around 5'6" or even 5'5" for that matter. I am 5'9" and I can plant both my feet on the ground in a very easy and comfortable manner. The floorboard too is one of the biggest in its segment. So answering one of the most asked questions for the Indian audience, yes, you can pretty easily accommodate a gas cylinder here as well. So I guess that should answer your question. As you can see, even if I put my feet on the floorboard, there's enough space left for me to move around my feet while riding the Jupiter 125. And TVS has also given it recesses at the front, so you can accommodate your feet in a pretty comfortable manner. The fifth advantage that we would like to list down is the cockpit view of the rider, because you get a really nice view of the cockpit. The instrument cluster, as you can see here, is very neatly designed and it is sort of an amalgamation between an analog speedometer. This digital LCD layout that you see here, it provides a host of information to the rider, including the average fuel efficiency, distance to empty, and a clock. There are 2 trip meters as well and instant fuel economy as well. And you also get your regular readouts like the engine malfunction light, the auto indicator, and there's an indicator for the high beam as well, which is sort of a norm, and there's a fuel gauge as well. So the cockpit view of the rider is really very nice with this neatly laid out instrument cluster, and to provide it with premium appeal, TVS has also included these chrome elements here which extend from the headlamp cluster onto the instrument cluster. Now the sixth and one of the biggest advantages that the Jupiter 125 has over its rivals is the fuel lid placement. As you might be familiar with the norms that is set by other manufacturers in its segment, fuel lid is often located at the back of the gearless scooter, but you still have to get off your scooter once you are at the fuel station. So you have to get off and open the fuel lid, but TVS has completely eliminated the need of you getting off from the scooter at the fuel station by placing the fuel lid at the front. Now to make it work, TVS's engineers had to relocate the fuel tank. So the fuel tank is now relocated to the bottom of the scooter, which also provides it mass centralization. Now to open the fuel lid, you just have to push the key in and turn it right, and the fuel lid will pop open. So it is a very practical addition when it comes to the Jupiter 125, and it is full of such neatly laid out additions It is one of the most clever things that TVS has come up when it comes to the Jupiter 125, and it is really appreciable from their part to come up with something that innovative. Now the seventh advantage has to be its humongous under-seat storage, which stands at around 32 liters, and if you compare it to its rivals, it is almost a 3 BHK apartment, and that is not according to the Mumbai standards. So it can pretty easily gobble up 2 helmets inside its under-seat storage, and there are also some clever and nifty touches given here by TVS. If you take a good look at these recesses, so these recesses are given to store your helmet in a safe manner, and TVS is also given this under-seat storage bulb, and it is also sort of removable, so you can point it out to see what's inside if you are looking at things after the sunset. The eighth advantage will be really appreciated by people who are always on the go. TVS is offering this USB charging socket as a standard fitment, and you also get a crevice here which can be used to store your smartphone while it is getting charged from here. Now TVS has plugged in a brand new 124cc engine inside the Jupiter 125, and it isn't the same unit as we have seen and experienced on the NTORQ 125. It is a brand new unit, as we have already mentioned. Now outright performance might not be its forte, but this motor is refined, and that we can affirm. So its overall refinement has to be its ninth advantage, and it remains free of any vibrations even in the top end as well. Now this might be the last advantage of the Jupiter 125, but it is certainly not the least. So this is one of the most fuel efficient 125cc gearless scooters that you can get in the market today. And even if you ride it with a heavy hand on a day-to-day basis, it can extract around 55 to 60 kilometers per liter. And if you take it out on the highways with wide open roads, the fuel economy can even cross the 60 kilometers per liter mark. Now if you're generous with your throttle inputs, you won't see the fuel efficiency dropping down below 45 kilometers per liter. So this has to be one of the most fuel efficient gearless scooters out there in the 125cc category. Now that we are done with the pros of the Jupiter 125, it is now time to move on with the cons. And we are really nitpicking here, but these small additions could have made the Jupiter 125 even more complete than it already is. Now when you engage the side stand, as you can see here, this panel, it is a bit flared, so it might foul with your foot, and in the longer run it might wear off this panel in the longer run. Now the Jupiter 125 that we see here today in the market, it does not come with Bluetooth connectivity as a standard fitment or even as an option, but word on the street is that TVS is likely to offer Bluetooth connectivity for the Jupiter 125 in the days to come. But it would have been really appreciable if TVS offered it right from the launch. Now the Jupiter 125 might be a lot of things, but it is certainly not the most powerful in its segment. Now the Jupiter 125 is powered by a brand new 124cc engine that puts down 8.3 HP and 10.3 Newton meters of torque. Now the Destiny 125 and the Suzuki Axis 125, these both scooters are more powerful as compared to the Jupiter 125, but it produces more torque as compared to the Destiny as well as the Axis. Even when it comes to its overall riding dynamics, it is certainly not the sportiest of the lot. So if you wish to own a sporty scooter in your garage, you should take a good look at the TVS NTORQ or the Aprilia SR 160 for that matter, because the TVS Jupiter 125 isn't certainly the sportiest scooter out there. Now we have already mentioned that we are really nitpicking here, but TVS at least should have offered LED indicators with the TVS Jupiter 125, because it still makes do with halogen units. Now if you like this video and found value in this video, drop a comment down in the comment section below, and do let us know if you want us to make more such videos with us listing down the pros and cons of certain vehicles. The comment section is all yours. This is Anand Pandey signing off from Motoroids.